You ever wonder how quickly your entire world can change? How one moment you're on top of the world, and the next, you're fighting just to survive? My name is Elena, and this is the story of how the people closest to me tried to destroy everything I built, and how I rose from the ashes stronger than they ever imagined possible. It was March 2019. I was living my dream. I had just started my own digital marketing agency called Creative Pulse. It was small, just me and 2 employees working out of a tiny office in Gullberg, but we were passionate, hungry, ready to take on the world. I'd spent years learning the craft. Started as an intern back in 2014, worked my way up through different agencies, learned from the best. I saved every rupee I could. And when I finally had enough in January 2019, I took the leap. Starting your own business is terrifying. The late nights, the uncertainty, the constant fear that you'll fail. But I pushed through, because I believed in myself. I believed in my vision. And slowly it started working. We landed our first big client in April, then another in June, then another in August. Word spread. Within 2 years, by March 2021, we had a team of 15. We moved to a proper office in DHA. We were handling campaigns for major brands. I was 29 and living proof that hard work pays off. But success has a way of revealing who your real friends are, and more importantly, who your enemies have been all along. That's when Saad entered the picture, or rather, re-entered. Saad and I went to NUSD together back in 2011-2015. We'd been friends back then, good friends. We studied together, worked on projects together. After graduation in 2015, we went our separate ways. He joined his family's textile business in Faisalabad. I went into marketing in Lahore. We'd stayed in touch occasionally, liked each other's posts on social media, the usual superficial friendship maintenance. Then one day in May 2021, he called me, said he wanted to meet, had a business proposition. I agreed. We met at a fancy cafe in Alam Road on May 15, 2021. Elena, he said, his eyes gleaming with excitement. I've been following your agency's progress. You're doing incredible work. Thanks, Saad. We're trying our best. That's actually why I wanted to meet. I have a proposal. My family business is expanding. We want to modernize our marketing approach, and I think we should partner up. I was intrigued. What kind of partnership? Strategic. We invest in your agency. Give you the capital to scale faster. In return, we get a stake, 40%. You maintain control, but we help you grow exponentially. It sounded good, really good. My agency needed capital to take that next leap. We had the talent, the clients, the reputation. We just needed resources. Let me think about it, I said. Of course. But Elena, think about what we could build together. Your creativity and expertise, our resources and connections. We'd be unstoppable. That word, unstoppable. Little did I know how ironic it would become. I spent 2 weeks analyzing the offer. I consulted with a lawyer in late May, reviewed the contract. On paper, everything looked legitimate. Fair terms, clear boundaries. Saad would handle finances and operations. I'd handle creative and client relations. My team was excited. The investment meant better equipment, bigger office space, hearing more talent. It meant stability. So on June 5th, 2021, I signed the partnership agreement at a lawyer's office on Mall Road. It was official. Creative Pulse was now 40% owned by Saad's family investment group. The first 6 months were amazing. The capital injection allowed us to expand rapidly. By December 2021, we hired 10 more people, upgraded our technology, moved to a beautiful office with glass walls and modern furniture in Johar town. Our client base doubled by March 2022. We started winning awards, industry recognition, magazine features. I was being invited to speak at conferences. Saad was the perfect partner. Supportive, encouraging, always singing my praises in meetings. This is all you, Elena, he'd say. I'm just here to facilitate. You're the real genius behind this operation. I believed him, because why wouldn't I? He was my friend, my partner, my supporter. But behind that friendly smile, something else was brewing. Something I was too busy and too trusting to notice. He wasn't just facilitating, he was positioning, planning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The cracks started showing in January 2022. Small things at first, easy to dismiss. I noticed Saad having private meetings with some of our key employees. When I'd ask about it, he'd brush it off. Oh, just operational stuff. Don't worry about it. You focus on the creative side. Then I started noticing changes in how decisions were made. Things I used to have final say on were suddenly going through Saad first. When I brought it up in February, he was smooth. Elena, we're a bigger operation now. We need structure, protocols. It's just good business practice. I let it slide because I was busy, because I trusted him, because I didn't want to seem paranoid or controlling. Big mistake. One day in March 2022, I discovered something strange. 3 of our biggest clients had changed their primary contacts from me to Saad. I only found out by accident when I tried to schedule a meeting on March 18th and was told to go through him. What's going on? I confronted him in his office. He looked up, completely unbothered. I'm just building stronger relationships with our key accounts. Why? Is that a problem? They were my clients, Saad. I brought them in. I built those relationships. And now we're growing them together. Isn't that what partnerships are about? There was something in his tone, something cold that I'd never heard before. I don't like this, I said firmly. We need to set clear boundaries. He smiled, that same friendly smile, but it didn't reach his eyes. Of course, Elena, whatever makes you comfortable. But nothing changed. If anything, it got worse. Over the next few months from April to August 2022, I watched my own company slip away from me, piece by piece, decision by decision. Saad had systematically built relationships with every key person in the organization. My employees started going to him instead of me, not because they wanted to, but because he'd positioned himself as the decision maker. He controlled the finances, which meant he controlled salaries, bonuses, budgets, and he used that power brilliantly. People who stayed loyal to me found their projects getting smaller, their bonuses getting cut, their ideas getting rejected. People who aligned with Saad, they got promoted, got raises, got the best projects. I tried to fight back, called board meetings in July, demanded transparency. But the contract I'd signed gave him significant power over operations, and he knew how to use every loophole. Then came the real blow in August 2022. I discovered he'd been secretly meeting with our investors, the ones who'd put money into the agency based on my reputation and track record. He was feeding them a narrative that I was difficult to work with, that I was holding back the company's growth, that the agency would be more successful with different leadership. When I found out on August 22nd, I was furious. I scheduled an emergency meeting with the investors myself for August 25th. But when I walked into that room at the Pearl Continental Hotel, I knew. The way they looked at me, the way they greeted me, cold, distant, skeptical. Saad had already won them over. The meeting on August 25th, 2022 was a nightmare. Everything I said was questioned. Every achievement I'd built was downplayed. The company has grown significantly since Saad came on board, one investor said. Because of the capital injection, I countered. The foundation was built long before he arrived. But we need to think about scalability, another added. And frankly, Elena, we're concerned about your leadership style. My leadership style, the same style that had built this company from nothing. I looked at Saad. He sat there, expression neutral, saying nothing, not defending me, not supporting me, just watching. That's when I understood. This wasn't a partnership. It was a hostile takeover. Slow, strategic, perfectly executed. 2 weeks later, on September 8th, 2022, I received a letter from the board suggesting I step down as CEO. They'd still keep me on as creative director, but hand over leadership to Saad. I was being demoted. in my own company, the one I'd built with my own hands, my own sweat, my own sleepless nights. I called Saad immediately. Did you know about this? Elena, it's just business. Nothing personal. Nothing personal. You sabotaged me. You turned everyone against me. You stole my company. I didn't steal anything. I invested. I grew it. And now it needs different leadership. Leadership that can take it to the next level. You mean leadership that you control? He didn't deny it. This is the corporate world, Elena. Either you adapt or you get left behind. I hung up. My hands were shaking, my heart was racing. I felt sick. But beneath the shock and hurt, something else was forming. Something cold and sharp and determined. If they thought I'd just quietly disappear, they were very, very wrong. I didn't sleep the night of September 8th, 2022. I sat in my apartment, staring at the wall, processing everything that had happened. I'd been so stupid, so naive. I'd let Saad into my business, my team, my success, and he'd used it all against me. But here's what he didn't know, what none of them knew. I wasn't just the creative face of that company, I was its foundation. The clients didn't come for the fancy office or the big investment. They came for me, for my vision, my strategy, my execution. And I still had something they couldn't take away. My knowledge, my relationships, my reputation in the industry. If they wanted to push me out, fine. But they'd learn very quickly what happens when you remove the person who actually built everything. The next morning on September 9th, I made a decision. I wasn't going to fight them legally. The contract was airtight. They'd covered their bases. Instead, I was going to do something they'd never expect. Something that would hit them where it hurt most. I was going to leave, but not quietly, and not empty-handed. I spent the next week from September 10th to 17th documenting everything. Every client relationship, every strategy, every process. Not to steal, but to understand what I'd built and how to rebuild it. Then I did something bold on September 20th. I reached out to 3 of our biggest clients, the ones I'd brought in personally, the ones who trusted me, not the agency. I was honest with them, told them what had happened, that I was leaving, and that I was starting fresh. All 3 said the same thing. Where you go, we go. Within 2 weeks, by October 5th, 2022, I'd done the impossible. I registered a new agency called Pulse Creative Studios, rented a small office space in Model Town, hired 3 of my most loyal employees who'd been quietly unhappy with Saad's takeover. We started lean. No fancy furniture, no big investments, just talent, determination, and something to prove. Word spread quickly in the industry. Elena had left Creative Pulse. Elena was starting over, and clients who'd worked with me before started reaching out. Not just the 3 I'd spoken to, others. People who'd seen what Saad had done and didn't respect it. People who valued integrity over politics. Within a month, by November 2022, we had 5 clients. Within 3 months, by January 2023, 12. Within 6 months, by April 2023, we were generating the same revenue my old agency had taken 2 years to achieve. But this time, it was different. This time, I owned it completely. No partners, no investors, no one who could take it away. I built better contracts, better systems, better protections. I learned from my mistakes. And the company flourished. Because when you build something out of pain and betrayal, you build it stronger. You build it smarter. My team was smaller but more dedicated. My clients were fewer but more loyal. My success was quieter but more meaningful. Meanwhile, Creative Pulse started struggling by mid-2023. Without me handling the major accounts, relationships deteriorated. The creative work suffered. Clients started leaving. Turns out, Saad was great at politics but terrible at actual marketing. Who knew? A year after I left, in September 2023, I got a call from one of the investors who'd sided with Saad. Elena, we need to talk. About what? About the agency, Creative Pulse. It's not doing well. That's unfortunate, I said, my voice neutral. We made a mistake. We see that now. Saad promised growth, but he's been running the company into the ground. We're losing clients, losing money. We should have listened to you. Yes, I agreed. You should have. We'd like you to come back. As CEO, full control. We'll buy out Saad's shares, whatever you want. I laughed, not a happy laugh, a bitter, ironic laugh. You want me to come back and fix the mess you helped create. We're willing to make it worth your while. No, I said simply. I built something once and you let someone steal it from me. I'm not interested in salvaging what's left. I have my own company now, and unlike last time, nobody can take it away. There was silence on the other end. Elena, please. Tell Saad I said hello, and tell him thank you. Thank you for teaching me the most valuable lesson of my career. Never trust anyone with your dream. Guard it, protect it. Own it completely. I hung up. 3 months later, in December 2023, Creative Pulse shut down. Couldn't sustain the losses. Couldn't compete. Saad's family lost their entire investment of approximately 2 crore rupees. I felt no satisfaction in their failure, but I felt no sympathy either. They'd made their choices. Now they lived with the consequences. Today, in November 2024, 5 years after I started my first agency, Pulse Creative Studios is thriving. We're one of the most respected names in the Pakistani digital marketing industry. Not the biggest, but the best at what we do. I've been invited to speak at the same conferences where I once sat in the audience. I've been featured in the same magazines that once interviewed me about my old success. But this time, it's different. This time, the success is truly mine, built on my terms, protected by my decisions, sustained by my vision. I hired a diverse team of 22 people. People from different backgrounds, different experiences. I created a culture where loyalty is rewarded and politics are not tolerated. I'm careful about partnerships now. I have legal protections. I have advisors. I have lessons learned the hard way etched into every contract I sign. People ask me if I regret what happened, if I'm angry about the betrayal, if I wish I could go back and change things. My answer is always the same: no. Because that betrayal made me stronger, smarter, more careful, more intentional. It taught me that success isn't just about building something great. It's about protecting what you build. It taught me that not everyone who smiles at you is your friend. Not everyone who invests in you believes in you. Some people see your success as an opportunity for themselves. And most importantly, it taught me that when people try to destroy you, when they think they've won, when they believe you're finished, that's when you show them what you're really made of. Last month in October 2024, I ran into Saad at the Digital Marketing Summit at the Avari Hotel in Lahore. Our eyes met across the room. He looked uncomfortable, uncertain whether to approach or avoid me. I made the decision for him. I walked over. Saad, I said politely. Elena, hi, I heard about Pulse Creative Studios. Congratulations, you've done really well. Thank you, I learned from the best teachers. He winced. Listen, about what happened back in 2022. Don't, I interrupted gently. Don't apologize, don't explain. It was years ago. I've moved on. Have you really? I smiled. Yes, because I'm grateful. What you did forced me to become better, stronger, more careful. You thought you were destroying me, but you were actually building me. He didn't know what to say to that. I hope you learned something too, I continued. That stealing someone's dream doesn't make it yours. That shortcuts don't lead to lasting success. That integrity matters more than strategy. I did learn, he admitted quietly. The hard way. I'm working for a small agency now in Faisalabad, starting over myself. Good. Then we both got something valuable out of that disaster. I extended my hand. No hard feelings, but also no second chances. Take care, Saad. He shook my hand, and I walked away, for the last time, leaving behind that chapter of my life completely closed. So what's the moral of this story? What did I really learn from being betrayed, destroyed, and rebuilt? I learned that your worth isn't determined by who believes in you. It's determined by who you become when everyone stops believing in you. I learned that partnerships are powerful, but they require more than just contracts. They require aligned values, mutual respect, and genuine integrity. I learned that success will always attract people who want to ride your coattails, and you need to be smart enough to distinguish between those who want to grow with you and those who want to grow from you. I learned that losing everything can be the greatest gift, because when you have nothing left to lose, you're finally free to build exactly what you want, exactly how you want it. Most importantly, I learned that being destroyed doesn't mean you're defeated. It just means you're being given a chance to rebuild yourself better than before. They tried to destroy me. They thought they succeeded. They celebrated while I was down. But they didn't understand one fundamental truth. You can't destroy someone who refuses to stay broken. You can knock them down. You can steal from them. You can betray them. But if they have the courage to stand back up, if they have the determination to try again, if they have the wisdom to learn from their pain, they become unstoppable. Not because nothing can hurt them, but because they've learned that pain is temporary and growth is permanent. To everyone who's been betrayed, to everyone who's lost something they built, to everyone who's felt the sting of someone they trusted turning against them. Get up. Learn from it. Build again. But this time, build it wiser. Build it stronger. Build it in a way that can't be taken from you. Because the greatest revenge isn't destroying those who hurt you. It's becoming so successful, so established, so unshakable that their betrayal becomes just a footnote in your success story. They tried to write your ending. Instead, you wrote a new beginning. And that's how you become truly unstoppable.